Alrighty.
75, yeah.
Well, should we move into next thing here?
Yeah.
Let's talk Dahmer. Dahmer is it's the story of one of the most notorious serial killers in the United States. It's largely this show or uh whatever you call it, I guess. It's not a documentary, but it
Like
I don't know what you'd really call it. Yeah.
Docudrama series.
Yeah, it's a drama. Yeah, it's a drama. It's largely told from the points of his victims. It's got a 52% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's got an 84% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's currently trending. It's been trending for the last couple weeks at number one spot on Netflix for shows. It's 10 episodes. They're about 50 minutes to an hour each episode. It's been trending everywhere on TikTok, Instagram. I feel like I see it everywhere. I hear people talking about it. I went and got a haircut and I heard people talking about it.
A lot of memes about it.
Yeah, I mean,
TikTok, there's a couple sounds about it.
Yeah, it stars Evan Peters. We've had a few different like people play Dahmer before, but I think he kind of does it the best. I don't know. What did you guys think?
I'll start off. First of all, this show is getting a lot of controversy because of the families being not so happy with having to relive some of that.
As they should.
They should. Completely valid. I will say I think Netflix took a good approach and none of it was like praising him. It was all through their point of view, like the victims. You could kind of see the struggles that they went through. I mean, obviously, this shown somewhat in his perspective, but the gist of the entire show is through the perspective of the actual victims. They did what felt like a good job. This was hard to watch, though. I don't know if you guys. I'm sure you'll say the same thing. This was really hard to watch. It was good, but good in maybe a bad way. I got like into the first episode and I wasn't sure if I was going to watch the show, but I was like, I will, or everyone's talking about it. But I can also respect and understand, and I know all you guys can too, the fact that there's a little bit of an outlash from the families, and that they're becoming upset. I hope Netflix does them right with all this.
So, I mean, my take on it is that, yeah, from a standpoint of victim wise, I feel like this movie or this show would be a good watch from the storytelling standpoint and for, I guess you could say, entertainment purposes if it wasn't real life.
Yeah.
If it wasn't reality. Like this show as a made up story, which never happened, took place in real life, would be a good original show. Evan Peters, because he's a great actor from American Horror Story, and that's another reason why I watched it. Like you said, we've had multiple Dahmers. I think there's been 3 exact.
Like Ross Lynch was the last one.
Yeah, that one dude from Disney Channel playing him, and I remember they had a movie on Netflix. I don't remember what it was called. It was My Dear Friend Dahmer or something like that.
I think that's what it was. That's the Ross Lynch one.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, it's similar to it, but it's not the same as this one. This is like
that one was more so just his high school years. This one runs you through the whole
entire process from start to finish. And I mean, it's a hard watch, man. It's not easy. I literally just finished it today, and it's been out for quite a while. I mean, it's just a fact they show you everything, man. They don't hold off on anything. From a victim standpoint, it's awful. I couldn't imagine, especially with the hype that it's getting right now and all the craze, memes and all that. Imagine our daily, like their moms, the victims' parents or their sisters using Facebook and all that. And now this is like the number one show on Netflix. Every time they go to watch their favorite shows on Netflix, they see a reenactment of Jeffrey Dahmer, that face that haunted them.
And the Dahmer tapes just came out too. It's number 2 trending right now. So everything is trending. I even saw I think it's on Hulu, or it might even be Sling TV. My dear friend Dahmer is trending on that too, which is the Ross Lynch one. So like people are really, I guess, in a Dahmer mood or something because they're even watching that.
Well, I mean, another thing is like people. Sorry, Brian, but people do enjoy like true crime stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, I've listened to all like multiple true crime videos on Dahmer, on John Wayne Gacy, on all those guys, Ted Bundy, all those guys on YouTube, just because I'm at work and I just fucking bullshit it. You just listen to it. It doesn't make me go out and want to perform acts of evil and shit like that. Like, I mean, it is interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to the point though, like with this show, um, I think it was shot really well. I love true crime. I'd eat off that shit all the time. I've been into it for years, and actually, like Dahmer's autobiography was one of like 6 books I read throughout high school. Like, and we're talking like one of those thick books, like 600 pages. Like, someone I forget who, I think Lickler told me to read it, and I was like, ah, fuck it. And so I read it. And was just like, what the hell is this? Ever since then, I've been heavily into like following up on serial killer stuff. But what throws me for shows like this is that like I'm not like, they don't romanticize it in this one particularly, but at certain points they do. Like having Ted Bundy be played by Zac Efron, like what the fuck is that? Evan Peters, don't get me wrong, very handsome guy, but he can also, we've seen American Horror Story, make that switch to where like he plays this role perfectly.
He's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's scary. But that's the thing though too. Listening to a podcast is like one thing because these people just want to tell you the story,
Yeah.
and it's not them. But when you see a show like this, it becomes crazy. And then like everyone's watching it and it's cool that it's blowing up. People like know about it. But like again, I just feel it gets taken in the wrong light. And then people start becoming disrespectful towards it again. Like this is real shit. Like you are so right that if this didn't happen in real life and it 100% was fictional, like, yeah, this would be one of the craziest stories ever. But to know that someone's kid is like the victim from this, and also on topic of that, you said like how it was unwatchable. They really didn't even tap into how much this
I know.
was making them zombies until the very end. And it was talked about because that was actually, I was talking about it with Jack yesterday, and he was over and we were watching a couple of the episodes, and I was like, yeah, they actually haven't said anything about it. And then in that episode, it just gets kind of mentioned. So like I feel like it's another thing glossed over of how much of a sick fuck this guy really was.
Yeah.
Dude, the fact that he was preying on dudes at the bar and then let alone taking them back, drilling, experimenting on them, and then let alone just consuming their flesh. Like, dude, that is like, it's
that
unheard of.
Made me like sick.
It literally is unheard of. And that's the other thing too. Like he was saying, like, Pop, when you're listening, true crime, love it,
Yeah,
it's entertaining. That's what it is. I mean, it sucks that it's reality to some, like especially the victims' families and stuff, but it's still entertaining for those who have no, obviously correlation or relation to it.
right.
I feel like,
but then you go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of people like the reason that people like find this kind of stuff interesting. I mean, think about like what hits on the news. Tragic shit, stuff that's horrible.
All it is. You're never gonna go on the news and see something good.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same idea with this. This is trending on Netflix. This is fucked up. It's real. People hopefully can't fucking relate to it, but they are interested by like atrocities. They can't look away. And I mean, that's kind of how I felt like watching this. Like I didn't want to keep watching it, but I also wanted to keep watching it because I didn't know anything about Dahmer other than he was a serial killer. Preyed on like
statistically,
he's a necrophiliac and
statistically, there's a good chance our parents ate a chocolate bar that he had a hand in making. From him being from Milwaukee and working at that chocolate factory right before we were born.
Oh yeah. No,
possibility.
I was a little bit I was pretty excited to watch this. I'm that person that will be up until 2-3 in the morning watching videos about serial killers and all their stories and stuff like that. Whether it's Dahmer, Gacy, Ted Bundy, any of them. And I've seen the movies that are based off him. I've never read a book on him, but like I knew of the survivors and stuff like that. When the first episode starts, I'm like, that's Tracy Edwards. Like I knew right away. I'm like, this is the guy that escapes. I'm like, they're gonna start this. It seems like they're gonna start this show off, episode 1, with him escaping. And then two, like Tony Hughes, who is the deaf victim by Dahmer. I knew about him too before watching the show, and like the 14-year-old who the cops returned back to Dahmer's apartment.
I feel like that's
one of the first ones
everyone knew about was that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah, because during that time, it was such a big deal that the cops did this for turning this 14-year-old back into Dahmer's hands. And this is, I think, one of the first victims where he really tries to experiment with making him into a zombie. I think he drills into his head and tries pouring water in there first, and then he escapes, and then he tries pouring something else, and I think it's like some kind of
Like
acid.
hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
but he did find, and I forgot where the hell I even know this from, but it was him drilling and putting water in there that essentially like was the best one to make them a zombie.
Yeah.
And it's fucked. And again, so there's all of that, and then there's the whole idea of once they're dead, he's not just dismembering them, like he's saving their fucking like penises. And like that's like obviously
Or their
that's
heads.
terrible. And those are like the only two things he was really saving.
Yeah.
And
They
that
didn't
like
really
that's
highlight that in the
glossed over.
show.
And I'm really glad that they didn't, because again, that's when it would have been too much for me to even be like, oh, what the fuck am I watching?
And they brief it. They just say like at the end of the show, like we found his fridge and it's full of heads.
Yeah.
Well, so in the first
That just
episode, I'm
doesn't,
not
it
sure if
doesn't
you
even
guys
seem
caught it.
real.
In the
No,
first
it doesn't.
episode,
That's the worst part.
in the first episode, he goes and grabs like a beer out of his fridge,
There's
and
a
if
head in there.
if you blink and you miss it, there's a head right there at the bottom,
Yeah.
and that's kind of one of the things I actually liked about this show was they didn't like throw it in your face that this guy is like eating them and stuff like that. It's there, he's doing it, but they're not showing you they're not showing you. Hear the saw and stuff like that, but you hear it from his neighbor's perspective. You don't see him actually cutting bones up and stuff like that, but you know what's happening. So I like that the show didn't really have to show you everything, but it showed you enough so you knew what was happening and what he was doing. You knew by the neighbor's reactions to the smell and stuff like that what he was actually doing, and the noises.
I think that was part of their effort to not make this like
Yeah. No, so I watched a YouTube video on Evan Peters talking, like doing an interview, a couple weeks ago when like the craze was actually bubbling for Dahmer and all that. And he said that they made it like a fact. They made sure that each day on set, they were not glorifying Dahmer and what he did. It's not a show about Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a show about Jeffrey Dahmer's effect to all these families and individuals and all that he obviously ruin their lives, so that's why even if you like you were all talking about that, it shows how the cops messed up. They didn't take anything serious because it was in a low income neighborhood and it was minorities and they were gay. So that's three main factors. And then the fact that they literally had a underage kid with blood coming out of his head and
No ID.
I think he was like naked, no idea, none of that.
Yeah,
and
I
they
think he
brought
just
him,
couldn't
escorted
speak.
him back in there, and they didn't want to go in because obviously, like all those scenarios
Yeah.
and all that stuff plays a focus. And then they said that they would even like take breaks, like they would stop filming and be like, all right, like so Evan Peters didn't go actually insane.
Yeah, and I want to just say really quick,
to
like,
play.
yeah, I've seen interviews and stuff where it's the actual Jeffrey Dahmer like speaking and stuff like that, and I've seen things that Evan Peters is in, and the accent and voice that he does sounds just like Dahmer.
It did a very good
it's
job.
so creepy. Yeah, he did a very good job. I hope his like friends and stuff or whatever, or maybe he might be seeing a therapist, because I feel like that kind of takes a toll on you for the way he did it. I feel like that's kind of a lot on a person, like he played the part so well. It's crazy to think that he'd be able to just snap back and be normal. I feel like it kind of almost take a little bit of toll on your mental health.
Well, fuck, we
But
saw what happened to Heath Ledger, and Heath Ledger was doing a made-up character. Like, fuck, I hope he's getting help, you know, or at least he was able to separate it. Like,
but he's got so much history on American Horror Story, and he plays characters that are very similar to Dahmer.
Like the cult leader trying to get them all to drink the Kool-Aid.
That's how. Like, I'm sure he's got to have some kind of strategy to where.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably went into it with a therapist already.
And that's the thing, is they weren't like forcing him, like, hey, do this. Like,
no, and he is a great actor. It's just I feel like if anyone did it, it'd take a little bit of a toll on you.
But I really do like the way that they tell the story, especially going from like starting at the end and then working everything in to finalize it, like all ties up at the end. I like how they did that. I thought they did a great job doing that.
You get
great
to see
storytelling. It's not from start to finish. It's not just like that. Like,
One thing I will say is at certain points it was confusing as hell. Like I
Oh,
had
yeah.
no clue where we were.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like they did it intentionally, but it got to the point where it was just annoying me because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just like, where the
That's
fuck does
fair.
this line up?
Mhm.
Like
But
the
I feel
whole
like
thing
anytime you
with
guessed
Joyce
it,
leaving, like the only reason I knew Joyce was gone for the summer was because again, I like me, like Aiden said, like we have listened to stuff on it. But to someone that doesn't know that, it clicks, and then the dad comes home and he's like, "Oh, she's been gone for 3 months," and it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
that confused
didn't
me.
really say that exactly, and
yeah.
it
Yeah, so
was
that's
just little
exactly what
stuff
I
like
thought too.
that.
Yeah, I
But
was
then I
like, if
feel like
someone doesn't know, how would they?
Mhm.
yeah, but I
I
feel like
was
that's
con-
what brings the storytelling even more for someone that is fresh into it, like, oh well, that's another factor what drew him to insanity and all
I was
that.
gonna say that they
Yeah.
do a good job of kind of showing a lot of the. I mean, obviously, parenting is only a part of the picture in anything like this. Like,
Mhm.
but it shows like how he was basically failed at all parts by his parents. I mean, I
Yeah, there
guess he
was
sort of had an active dad that wanted him to cut up animals. Like, they
yeah,
failed across the board. His parents, if you could call
I
them that.
think one
But
of the go ahead if you
I was gonna
finish.
say that's not the full picture. He also clearly was sick in the brain.
Yeah. I think one of the best episodes was when he like it's like the dad's episode where he goes, he
I
talks
think it's
to him.
episode 8.
Yeah, that was like one of the best ones. And because it's like going from the like thing where he's like, "Oh my god, I failed. It's all my fault." But then the actor's great. I don't know if you guys know his name off the top of your heads,
From Step
but the
Brothers.
dad from Step Brothers.
Yeah,
I think
I
he
was gonna
killed it,
Was that
dude.
say,
you,
I think
oh,
he
Josh?
he
was almost
killed
better
it.
than Dahmer.
It took me 3 episodes until like because I recognized the voice.
The
I didn't want
voice,
to
yeah,
look
he
it
doesn't
up.
look like him, does he?
No, and then
He
I
looks
like
identical to
at
him.
one
See,
I
point
I
think he
said
said
looks
to
just like
something.
him.
Yeah, I literally saw him for a split second. I said, "No way."
Brian, it took
Yeah.
me like 6 episodes to look it up.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, it sounds like him,
I'm
but I'm
glad
going
that we're
crazy.
in the same boat.
No.
Because he
Me and
looks
Aiden
nothing
are on
like
the
him. He looks like
opposite.
No.
I
Yeah,
noticed it
even
right
about a
away.
foot shorter.
He's a good actor, but whatever. Besides the point, he goes and like he doesn't want to take the blame for it. He's trying to blame the mom. He's trying to blame everyone else. The
Yeah.
prison that he originally went to after the sexual assault case. Tried to reform him, and then it finally comes to him like it's my fault.
Yeah.
He can't blame anyone because it is. I mean, technically, realistically, it is. He played a key part.
His dad had a critical part in getting him to where
Very
he was
critical,
at.
if not the. I mean, he tried to blame the mom for taking all these pills when he was in the womb, which definitely plays a factor on the child's health. But
Well, too,
no one helped him.
yeah, I mean,
no one's in the right.
I'm shocked by this episode because, I mean, you guys can tell me if you're wrong, but like, even with like a school shooting or something like that, you kind of like mourn with the victims' families and stuff like that. And you do even for Dahmer's victims. But I've never thought of really what's going on with Dahmer's parents. Or that school shooter's parents. Like, what are they thinking? I'm just thinking, fuck them, they fucked up. Right.
Yeah.
But you never really think too much about them. And I think the way that episode kind of focused on him and how he ended up, like Aiden said, coping with finally accepting that maybe it is, taking responsibility that it is his fault, some of it at least. It was kind of interesting to see kind of his point of view. So I really like that. My favorite episode, though, is episode 6 with Tony Hughes, like I said.
Saddest one, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that
I'm
episode's
sure it
great.
hit for you guys. There's that scene right where because again at this point all Tony's mom knows that Tony's missing, and they show that last conversation, and it's all a flashback.
Flashback.
Or actually, I think at that point, does she know he's dead?
No, that's the one
No.
where
Yes, she does.
No,
Okay.
she knows he's dead, and she's at the table, and she has that conversation.
Yeah,
with him.
yeah, and she has the flashback of the conversation, and it's literally him signing, "Oh, it's time for me to go meet my friends," and she's like, "Oh, make sure to come visit me before you leave for that." Yeah, and then the "I love you," and that
fucked me up,
killed me. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys, because just thinking about it, like the number of times we've gone out for the night and talking to either of our parents, we're like, "All right, love you, see you in the morning," just some shit like that. Like to see that scene, and then to know that not only did her son not come home, he's just not only murdered, but then murdered by a cannibal dude that drugged him, tried to make him a fucking zombie, then cut him up and eat him. Like that is
convinced him that he loved him.
Like that is one of the worst case scenarios ever. Like I don't know how it could get worse. I'm sure it can.
Well, and two, it's the fact that like
know.
he is black, he's gay, he's deaf. he has all these things against him, and he never let it put
Especially
him
in that
down.
time. Yeah, and he
Yeah,
just
it never
Yes.
let him put him down. He was always a positive guy. You know, it's heartbreaking, especially like in that first episode. It takes place on the last person that escaped, and then the first couple the next couple episodes are like when he's a kid, and then he goes to his grandma's. A lot of time jumping, but episode 6 starts off. Tony Hughes is the main character of that episode. Jeffrey Dahmer's just a side character. It's not like Jeffrey Dahmer crossing Tony Hughes. It's Tony Hughes crossing Jeffrey Dahmer later on in the episode. It felt so special. And then like the communication with his friends and family, where it's like the sound deafens to show you like his perspective. I mean, the episode 6 was just incredible. I loved it. And I went and looked on IMDb after I finished the entire show. That one by far has the best reviews and stuff like that, which I mean, I agree with. Episode 6 steals.
Well, that was the first episode to actually do well, not again, they were like tasteful about this, not glorifying it. This was one of those episodes where it really showed the effects of what this fucking monster did.
I
This
think
episode, sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I think that this show does a great job of showing each of these people, especially episode 6. And Josh, like you just said, that it's in their perspective. They were living their lives and happened to run into Jeffrey Dahmer. Not Jeffrey Dahmer singled them out.
Yeah,
they were living their lives.
But he did single
He
people
did.
out. He
no,
did go to the bar and was looking at someone, reeling
I'm
them
not
in.
saying that he didn't
Yeah, I know what
actually,
you mean,
but I'm saying like these people were people just living their lives, trying to have a good time, trying to get through it, going through all the challenges, and then you have this person that gets in their way that unfortunately kind of ends everything.
Yeah. Well, then too, like it kind of what I also liked about this episode is it sort of showed maybe what it would be like if Jeffrey Dahmer was a normal person, right? I mean, they kind of almost start dating a little bit. Jeffrey seems happier. And then, it goes back to his old self. So
yeah, I think that was the main part of the episode, though, is like that Tony was the one to change him.
Yeah,
and he tried to be a better person, but it's just in his blood. It's just in him.
Dude. I do wonder if he. Well, I think we all know that. Tony left, and then Tony comes back because he forgot something, and that's when
That's the
Dahmer gets him.
absolute worst.
That's the worst part.
Tony was this close to getting away from
and
it.
that's what,
but like we know, like because it could be speculated. Oh, like if Dahmer would have waited the week for Tony, maybe he wouldn't have killed again. He would have been in love because he could trust.
Oh, there's no
And
fixing
no,
that.
but we know damn well Dahmer just would have been killing throughout that whole week until Tony came back. Then he probably would have killed him too. But again, that was heartbreaking how Tony does this close from escaping and then forgets something. And then the next scene is him naked, dead on the bed.
Yeah. Well, that's what Dahmer's whole thing is too, right? And that's why he tried to make people into zombies. Is his whole thing is he loves control. He wants them to be with him. He wants to just cuddle and, he wants to, yeah. So like, that's his whole thing. And you could probably blame it on, you could definitely blame that on his parents never being there for him, right? I mean, they fucking left him there for a whole summer. Neither of them even realized that the other wasn't there. You know what I mean? So it is situations like that where he has these abandonment issues fucking taken to the extent, right? Where he has to kill people or try to make them into zombies so have people stay with him. Yeah, I mean, it's insane to me how he went to these extents. I mean, literally, this dude tried to create zombies. He would drug them, rape them, kill them, and then eat them. So really sick fuck.
Then the rape and kill was in opposite orders because
he'd kill them.
It's fucking disgusting. Oh my god.
Yeah. We should talk about the Gacy thing.
Before we talk about Gacy, the fact they brought in Ed Gein, bro.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
You think we'll get a Gacy show now, Brian?
We already kind of got some other.
No, I know, but like this, exactly like this, but with Gacy.
Maybe
with same actor, everything.
Yeah, but the only way that Dahmer and Gacy could have been done better is if what's his name that did Mindhunter actually finished his fucking show and included them, asshole, whatever. But no, when they brought in Ed Gein, I was not expecting that because obviously I know about Ed Gein. Ed Gein is not someone talked about a lot because he was from like the 50s
He's
and
fucked.
but he never ate anyone. That is true.
But he was just satanic.
Yeah, he well, not even satanic. He just wanted to be a woman, essentially. And he went to the extent of digging up all these people and like taking their bones and shit like that. And then on top of that, he's killing people and taking their skin. And and again, his was for a completely different reason. And then you have Dahmer, and at the same time, you have everything going on with Gacy. And again,
It's
what
all in Illinois too.
exactly? Well,
During the same
Dahmer,
time.
yeah, Dahmer was in Wisconsin, but
Well, I mean, like in that area.
oh yeah, it's still Midwest.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they pulled up Geen, I was like, oh my god, does this mean like, are they gonna even mention John Wayne Gacy?
Yeah.
And that was wild as hell. And then, because did you end up finishing the episode?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the one thing, like I said, I like listening to true crime, know all about Ed Gein, know all about these guys, John Wayne Gacy. The one thing I didn't like is that I love that they showed him. I mean, not that I love, but from an entertainment, that's what I'm
I
going
got you. I
over.
got you.
You understand? But the one thing is that he never committed his murders as a clown.
Yeah.
And then they show
yeah.
him drowning the kid dressed in a
Mhm.
full clown costume.
Yeah, that kind of pissed me off too. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, again, it's supposed to be entertainment. I
But
get
it's
it. He is the
terrifying.
clown killer.
They showed the knot and all, even his house, just a wall of
Yeah.
clowns. I
Yeah,
think
so-
100% they're gonna make a show, same as Dahmer, with John Wayne Gacy.
When
I mean,
that
that's the
episode-
thing. They're doing it for Dahmer was kind of a storytelling, but in all, they're trying to make money. And they
Yeah.
know what they're doing with Dahmer. They know that people are gonna like it. That's why they just dropped the tapes for it. They're gonna make money. They know they put the John Wayne film out with that same actor. People are gonna watch it. It's gonna be number one.
Yeah. When that episode started, I was like, why are we back in 77? I'm like, are we about to see Kid Dahmer again? And then they walk in the house, and as soon as I saw that clown painting, I sat up. I'm like, oh shit. Because I knew right away.
So I got it spoiled for me, which kind of threw it off.
that
But I mean,
sucks.
it was still it's still good. It's a good opening scene.
Yeah.
Well, what got me was when he said the thing. He goes, where he says it's a construction job. Don't really think of this as an interview. And that's when I was like, hey, what the fuck? Because I was playing on my phone again. You just started.
Oh, so you didn't
When they
notice the
pull up-
clown painting when they walked
No,
in?
I didn't see it. And then that's when I
Okay.
rewind it, and I was like, yo, if this says the 70s, like that's Gacy for sure.
Yep.
Rewinded it, saw Illinois the year, and I was like, oh god damn it.
Dude, I had chills.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
pissed. And then he
That
makes
was
note
terrifying.
of the smell, and Gacy like is fucking with him because he even tells the place of where the bodies is at, and he goes, maybe a raccoon died in the crawl space. It's like, you sick asshole.
No, and there's that one Gacy kill that happened where like well he didn't kill him, but he drugged the guy and he tied him up to the bed, and he
Mhm.
went in the room in the middle of the night dressed as a clown and raped him, and then he survived.
Ah.
But like, yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen the Gacy tapes on Netflix. They're
No.
hard to talk about that. That's hard to fucking watch.
See,
don't
this is
watch
why
that.
I prefer
Survived.
podcasting.
But that's
Yeah,
why
I
you
don't
listen
watch
to it.
that
But that's
shit.
why it's entertaining
Yeah.
when you're listening to it. It's horrifying when you're watching it.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, the
Which makes it-
documentary
it's not even
style
like,
of the
ugh.
survivors.
Checking out of my window and shit. Like,
Yeah.
No, but the John Wayne Gacy, I think, is more fucked than.
Yeah, because he
realistically.
wanted to unlike like Dahmer would drug them and then like just like kill them, right?
I don't
Gacy's
know,
a
they're
little
both
different.
sick fucks.
They are both sick fucks, and Dahmer fucking ate people and Gacy didn't. But like still he would drug them and then rape them while they're like somewhat out of it, but somewhat in it. Like they're like, you know, he would torture them a little bit. Like he'd fuck with them. So
I don't know. They're both up there. They're identical.
would say,
but I think
yeah.
what's his name killed a lot more kids, and he put on a whole front. It's
yeah.
not like Dahmer had friends. Dahmer didn't
No.
do anything out of the way.
Yeah,
He
and
was
Dahmer had 17 kills.
hosting
Gacy had
citywide
33.
parties and community gatherings at his house where he dug up the ground, buried bodies in, and then put new concrete in his garage and all this stuff. Like,
Mhm.
it's sick.
yeah, that was the difference. Was like Gacy
nothing
knew what
happened.
the fuck he was doing. Like Gacy was doing it to come. Like there was a sexual thing to it
There was.
for him. And Dahmer, like, yeah, there was a sexual, but like they even bring that up in one of the episodes when he's talking to his dad about it. And he goes, well, that's a part of it when he's talking about killing people. Because the thing was like, again,
wasn't his
it's
thing.
a control thing before it becomes a sexual thing. And then from there is when it becomes sexual. And like, again, it's worse because they are dead.
Yeah.
I was
That's
gonna say, I
also
think
why,
Dahmer
like,
did more damage to the families
yeah,
than Gacy.
I would agree.
Well, I don't know
I
because
mean, then again, we
Gacy
don't
did
have
kill some
any.
young men,
We
like
don't
some
have
young
any
kids.
stories to show us Gacy.
Yeah, and
you
Gacy
know?
had 33 kills. Dahmer had 17. But it's not to say one's worse than the other. They're all
No,
evil
you
both
can't
fucks.
compare the
horrible.
two.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And then to bring it back to Dahmer really quick, because I forgot to mention that first episode when he's talking to him and he's like, "I'm gonna eat your heart."
Yep.
Saying all that shit. I mean, that just chills, dude. Like, there's so many like freaky ass. I mean, like Andrew said, this is kind of hard to watch. I mean, it is. You know what I mean? Because it is real, right? So I don't know. Absolutely terrifying. I can definitely see them making the Gacy show, especially after the success of this
Mm.
Dahmer show. So
But-
The only thing worth noting, and again, I'm glad that they didn't really highlight it because it would start glorifying Jeffrey Dahmer and not just the story of what happened to the victims. Maybe you could tell me, because have you watched My Friend Dahmer?
yes,
Did they emphasize that he was like a like a jokester? Like
Yes.
he would do like funny shit? Because the yearbook thing, I did kind of laugh because I do remember hearing about that. They were they're trying to get him in like every picture of the yearbook, and when he got in, and they freaked the fuck out. That was the only time they really emphasized that. But also in jail, this would have been a good one, and maybe they did it, and I didn't notice it. But in his cell, he had like put up a sign that said "Cannibals Anonymous," just so
Wow.
that way people would fucking leave him alone. But also, you know, it's like Alcohol's Anonymous. So he
Yeah.
made that as like a joke.
Well, they showed him trying to pull pranks in jail
Well, they
too.
saw him, yeah, and he's a jokester, like, because he's trying to get killed. He
Right.
100% wants to die.
Dude,
And that was his
He wanted
main
the
thing,
electric
why he's
chair.
cracking jokes in jail,
No,
and
I
he's
know.
doing shit he's putting trays on the seats. Like, those guys want to kill him, but obviously they don't. They're trying to fix their lives. They understood what they did. They had
Yeah.
remorse for their mistakes.
Yeah.
But that's why the whole thing is, and that's why he killed him, because he had no remorse for anything that he did.
Yeah, because that did have me on edge for a second. I was like, oh man, if they're gonna show him like cracking jokes, trying to make him look like a likable guy, like fuck, I'm glad that they made him look weird. Like
Yeah.
the kid that was laughing at him originally when he's like, "Hey, Mister, whatever, gave me this extra pig. Want to dissect it?" And he like looks at him and goes, "Fuck no."
Yeah, I know in the Ross Lynch like movie version, there was a point where, and they show it in the show too, where like, he tries to act like he has really bad mental issues like in high school and makes the noises and shit like that, right? Like they show that in the movie too and in the show. So like they kind of showed it a little bit, but not to the extent maybe that the show might have wanted to do. I don't know. But yeah,
I mean, they did it. They only had to do it once. I mean, you don't have to do a big thing about it, because this one was basically, like I said, it wasn't Dahmer's point of view. It
Yeah.
was those kids that he was his classmates, everyone doing, like, him, seeing him dissect that thing. That's the teacher's perspective. Then they show him doing the Dahmer in the hallway. It's the
Yep.
football player's perspective.
Yep.
Then that other guy, when he goes, "Hey, you want to dissect this pig?" It's his perspective.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job of that.
I the one thing I didn't know before watching this was how much fan mail he had. I didn't know I knew they
Yeah,
made
that was
comic
that's
books, which is
sickening.
fucking ridiculous. I didn't know people were sending him money and that he had fans. I didn't realize all that. That part that you get at the end of episode 9 and 10. I mean, that's just gross. Like, I don't know who the fuck would be a fan.
Sending them $20,
someone
sending
like
them
that.
money,
Yeah, just for an autograph
Hey, give me an
back.
autograph.
Yeah.
Then they had
I couldn't believe that.
nah, and then it got to his head too.
Mhm.
He's like, my fans like it.
Oh yeah. No, they blew up his ego in there. How did you guys think they handled like him being killed, like the accuracy level of it? Because I remember like in the videos I've seen is he's killed like around the showers, which is kind of how it works in this. And while he's being killed, he has this like straight face. Like he's not making any emotion while he's being killed. And they kind of did it in the show too, where he really wasn't showing that much emotion as he's being murdered.
He didn't say stop or anything. He just kind of kept getting
No,
hit.
because this is what he's been
no.
wanting.
And he didn't scream or anything. So
Do you think the cop was in on that, like the guard? Because like he totally just like
he looked and then
It seemed like it.
Yeah, and then like it definitely looked like
Well,
it.
he knows
right?
what he did.
Yeah.
yeah, and then too, I
Glad
thought
that he did.
I'm like, how will these people know what Dahmer did on the outside? You know what I mean? To figure out like that he was a serial killer and stuff. So I like kind of how they showed that.
I
Even from
totally
his
forgot about that. Like in prison, that they're not like on their fucking
Well, I mean,
like,
nowadays we see dudes in prison have TVs,
and they're on.
stoves, and
I've run
and
into.
iPhones on
Have you seen
TikTok.
them on TikTok?
Yeah, on TikTok,
I've seen
what
dude.
the
prison
hell's going on?
TikTok a couple of
Everyone's in the
times.
comments
even
like,
jail
y'all got
anymore.
everything in jail except for freedom. Damn.
Yeah.
But do we want to get
Yeah.
into
I mean,
scores here?
like I said, we don't. I think they did a great job of not shining light on Dahmer and who he was. And, they showed him as a monster and the evil person that he was. So, I mean, give a round of applause for Evan Peters. I mean, that's not an easy role to take on. But I mean, if anyone was to do it and do it the right way, it's Evan Peters.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, he's a good ass actor. The dad did a great job, great portrayal. And I
Even the mom did great.
Yeah, I mean, you just show everyone was just screwed up
Yeah,
mentally,
his
everything,
neighbor.
like, yep, all
Yep.
that. But I mean, from an story wise, entertainment, not that it's entertaining, but more informative standpoint, I would give this show probably, I give it a solid like 89. I like how they told the story. I like the cast, like how you feel remorse for the families and all that, and it shows how I wouldn't even say judicial system. I mean, it does, because he's on court and they don't even put him in jail for
Yeah,
sexual
he's
assault,
No,
and they
they
just give him
show
offender.
the judge is like, oh, you know what, we're gonna get you some help, it's
Yeah, we're gonna
only
give you a
minor
second chance,
influence.
or when he's outside and the police are there and they don't even like, hey, can we get your ID? You're gonna bring
Nah.
this
But
kid
that's just
that,
because he's a white male at that time,
Yeah.
and he got away with more than he should have, and
Absolutely.
sickening, and look at what it led to. He could have been caught. Dude, none of this would have happened, and that's why I like how it shines the light on that. And then
Netflix should build a park
yeah,
where that
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like fuck, if they want to do something after this, like
We don't
yeah,
get
you
back to
might.
shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a solid 89. 89 is good for this. I
Oh.
recommend it. It's a good watch.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. Again, as far as true crime goes, I love it. Well, it's entertaining. It's nice to be informed. It's nice to listen to this stuff. Actually watching true crime is a whole different fucking thing. And this show, as you're going through the motions, you do have to remember this isn't the Jeffrey Dahmer tale. This is the what the fuck did Jeffrey Dahmer do and how did he affect these people? And again, the fact that they did show the way that the judicial system continuously failed these people, and without going into it with what's been going on in recent day, it just shows that shit has kind of been continuing down the same path. Have things got better? Sure. Have things got worse? Sure. Um, but with that being said, I think again, Evan Peters killed it. Gotta love that. The dude from Step Brothers killed it. Gotta love that. And from what I remember, the grandma, that was pretty accurate. She kind of played a part in it too. She knew that there's something weird going on. She just wanted to deny it. She kept thinking he was gay. They did a great job of showing that. And it's just kind of how it just kept slipping through people's fingers. Like it was at the tip, they were gonna get it, and it slipped, and then it turned into this whole thing where this guy, this not even a guy, this fucking monster from hell was able to go around and kill these 17 people that didn't fucking deserve it. But again, the show did a great job of showing you that you're not sitting here, you don't feel bad for Dahmer at all. You're not like you were not the people that were writing him fan mail or anything like that. Like you're sitting walking away like that was fucking terrifying. This guy's a piece of shit. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a solid 87. Would recommend it. Will I watch it again? There's a chance, but I don't know. I think that's another reason why I'm getting it such a high rating because it did its job enough for me to now know the story completely. Probably gonna wipe my hands of it. Probably won't even watch the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes that are on Netflix now.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with that too. I don't know if I want to watch that or not.
That I feel like at that point that's doing too much to give him more attention. Which
Yeah, I feel like they should have done the tapes before. Like the John Wayne Gacy tapes were definitely informative,
that's what I was thinking.
and
too.
I think that they would be better for them to drop the tapes and then drop the visual, I guess you could say.
The dramatization of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish this off.
Yeah, I This was a tough watch. I was, like I said, I was kind of excited to see the portrayal of how they do it because I've seen other Dahmer movies and the tapes and stuff like that. I think I probably will check out the tapes on Netflix just to kind of see
How they
more on
relate.
that. Yeah, how they relate, stuff like that. But like Evan Peters, he killed it. I mean, he did so well. I don't really know anyone else who could have done it better than him. The accent and the way he looked, he was scary. Like he was creepy. It was hard to watch this show right before he went to bed. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Which a show like that, I mean, just goes to show you, like it's a hard watch. So, I'm gonna give it an 88 because I really didn't think the one thing that kind of bothered me, and I knew a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer going in, was all the jumping back and forth. I kind of like after the first 3 episodes, I was like, okay, they jumped in that first episode to the very end of how he gets caught, and then they kind of shown him growing up, and now he's gonna go to his grandma's house. But then they like jump around. They like don't show that he goes into the army until like a couple episodes later, which I knew he did, but I was like, when are they going to show that part? So like I was kind of like someone who had seen it and like or knew a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm like, when are they doing this? When are they doing that? So I kind of wish they would have done it more chronological order. That's kind of the one thing that bothered me. But I love the way that they showed it, like from the neighbor's perspective with the smelling and stuff like that, and from the dad's perspective. And then episode 6 was my favorite. I mean, I texted you guys. I don't even know if most of you guys were at episode 6 yet, but I just finished episode 6. I'm like, episode 6 was amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe it right after that episode. I'm like, damn, I hope there's another episode that can like top this because this is great. So yeah, so I'm gonna give it an 88.
Gotcha. I kind of went on a rant at the beginning, with how I felt on this. I didn't know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer, going into this, other than like the literal, very basic knowledge that he was a monster and serial killer and targeted. I knew it was more than 10 people. I didn't know that it was 17. With that said, this is a good show. I guess if you can handle it. I thought it was kind of fucked up, but that's what it's supposed to be, and they did a good job with that. I'll keep it short and sweet, and I'm gonna give it an 80. It's worth the watch. I will never rewatch this just because this isn't my thing. I'm not into true crime really. It's just not something that interests me. It's kind of creepy. I don't know, just not my cup of tea. But this was entertaining. I learned a lot from it, and it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. Like that there are people like this out in the world. But yeah, I'm sticking with an
Walking
80.
among us.
Where's Mike at?
Who knows,
Fuck.
man? But no, I mean that is the other thing. Like with the true crime stuff, man, it is terrifying because like Jeffrey Dahmer, you just look at him, you're like, that's a weird fuck. Just the way
Yeah.
that he looks and the way that he acts, and like like he's got that creepiness to him. He runs outside of a bush and tries to attack a dude with a bat. No, the guy
Yeah,
somehow
jogger.
comes back with him. Beyond me, dude. Whatever.
Well, that part was in his head
Was it?
where he came back because he's so lonely.
Mhm.
It was in his head, but I like that's another thing I knew too is like that is a jogger that ran past his house every day and he fantasized about.
Yeah, but I thought the one day that he was gonna do it, he never showed up.
No, yeah, he didn't show
That's
up.
like he didn't
Yeah,
show up.
yeah, but I thought you meant when he came back to his house with him.
Oh yeah,
That
Oh, he
part
made
was in his
that up?
head. Yeah, that part was in his
Oh,
head.
okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and then too, like just to end it out, I mean, it is a big debate with not just like these serial killers, but like even school shooters and stuff like that. Is this what they want? Is this to be famous?
That's
people,
what I said.
You know what I mean? To be glorified and stuff like that. No one should know who the fuck Jeffrey Dahmer is because he doesn't deserve it, right?
No.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what's tough about all this stuff, like trending about him, having comic books about him, fans about him, shit like that. Like he knew all this shit was going to happen. He knew that he had fans and that he had comics and stuff written about him. So, which he didn't.
But there
deserve.
was also the other part. I mean, that didn't lead him to commit those crimes. He already
No.
committed the crimes, and then all that stuff came after.
Yeah, but does it glorify
fact-
it for other people?
So
to do
yeah,
it.
I mean that's another question too. Is do you guys think that this is? I mean, I know that they're not trying to, but they have no reason to put this out. Realistically, even if you say, "Oh, it shines light on the families and like the victims," it really doesn't.
No,
realistically, the best
they
way to
know
shine
that
light on them.
people like this.
This is a money
Yeah,
grab. True
it's a
crime's
money
been on a
grab.
raise for a
That's
while.
all it is, and that's why it's a money grab on podcast.
That's why
episodes and all
fucking
that.
South Park was able to make the
That's why
informative
we're not
murder
even going to
porn
upload this episode.
in like
Yeah.
season 15, and that shit's still relevant to this day.
Yeah.
Of how that true crime just took over and everyone just loves it now.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I could have wiped my hands with it without this. You know, just read the fucking book if you really want. Like, but to get like a show like this, yeah, it's a money grab for sure. Again, Evan Peters did his part. Great acting. It's media. We covered it. It's done now. But like I said, I don't know. It's a weird point right now in my life to like see more and more true crime dramatizations.
Yeah.
But then again, do you think someone watching this on Netflix, as who knows how many millions of people have seen this, think that they're going to go out and reenact this?
They could
stuff
try.
like that?
Well, my question was going to be for you guys: how many fucking Jeffrey Dahmers do you think we're going to see during Halloween time?
Oh yeah.
That's all.
And the costumes.
Yep.
Dude, there was Jeffrey Dahmer Halloween costumes before he even fucking died when he was in prison. So, oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's gonna be a lot because it's gonna be easy, and I've already seen memes about it because people are fucking dumb, don't have any respect. That's one thing. If you're a listener and you're interested in Jeffrey Dahmer, fuck you.
Or any serial killer.
But I mean, you're no better than he is, or any people like that. You know, like it's just disgusting. Yeah, it's a shame. You shouldn't.
Go as Jay and Silent Bob, something fucking original, you know?
Yeah.
Or fucking even Jason or Freddy or whatever. Fucking why do you gotta be
the Joker?
Someone
made up.
I don't know.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, all in all, informative TV show. Great watch. You know, if you're not into this kind of stuff, I don't recommend it. But I mean, it's definitely a story to tell. I mean,
yeah, because again, it doesn't show too much.
It doesn't.
Yeah, you don't really hear about too many serial killers nowadays, but I mean, it definitely opens your eye to look out for the, I guess you could say, I don't know, the signs,
the monsters.
Yeah,
don't take drinks from strangers.
Yep,
and go to their house.
Don't take a drink.
Men too.
Unless
Clearly,
Brian bought it for you.
Yeah. But all right, let's talk Barbarian.